All right. Okay. I think we're live. Welcome, everyone, to another Bifrost AMA. And we got Martin now with Astar Network. So, everybody, give them more and welcome. And do you want to go and give a quick shout out and tell us what your project's all about and everything about yourself? A little intro.
Yeah, for sure. So, hi everyone. Thanks for being here on this AMA. Looking forward to this. So, my name is Martin. I'm the VP of Growth for Star Network. So, what is a Star Network? A Star Network is actually previously known as Plasma Network, but we had like a rebrand a couple of months ago. And one of the main reasons why we did the rebrand was actually our name, Plasma, because it causes a lot of confusion with developers actually, because we are aiming for developers in our ecosystem. And the developers are talking a lot about Plasma, or when people are talking to us, they were telling our name like Plasma Network, but actually we weren't like Plasma. Plasma was like the initial thoughts when we launched Plasma Network was to create layer 2 solutions on Polkadot. But after more research, we found out that there's much more to offer to developers than just a layer 2 solution. So we expanded our vision to WebAssembly smart contracts, EVM smart contracts, and so on, and also provide those layer 2 solutions as well. So we at Astar, we aim to be like the multi-chain smart contract platform that will support multiple blockchains, multiple virtual machines, and we try to create like the best infrastructure possible for developers. And with this infrastructure, we also created the mechanism. We call it the build to earn protocol, but I will come later to this. And besides having the Star network now aiming for the parachain slot on Polkadot, we also have a sister network, Shida network, and that one is already live as a parachain on Kusama.
Yeah, congrats on that, by the way. Congrats on both. I know you guys are going to have success on Polkadot slot auction, but
that's
also congrats on on getting shitting out. So that's amazing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, really hope to get that slot to be one of the first parachains on a batch, because it's a little bit different than if you would compare it with Kusama. Like on Kusama, you got like the Crowdloan, the auction, and when you won the auction, you immediately could start your parachain. Yeah. Well, on Polkadot, there is like we have to wait for the first 5, and then everything will be live. So this gives us a little bit, or those who are winning now or has won, like Akala and Moonbeam will be tomorrow, they got some more time and more relaxing time to get ready for that parachain. So that's a great way as well. So, but we hope to be one of those in the first batch. So
it looks like, I mean, if I was a betting man, I'd put you guys in the 3rd slot. The way it's looking right now. So definitely, yeah. Awesome.
They was very excited. We saw that Bellify jumped over us. So we are now doing our best to get more funds together in the slot. But yeah,
awesome. Yeah, you gotta do those. I think your community. I think I hear the term astronauts, and kind of like Wolverines, or so yeah.
We try to brand it. We try to create like some kind of brand for this. Like we have very great ambassadors that are working on this as well to help us with this.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So do you want to tell me a little bit, like maybe to how you guys actually like kind of, I guess maybe going back to the founding of the platform, maybe, and then also to like any special statistics you want to talk about now?
Yeah, sure. I will explain a little bit about the journey of a Star network. So
it
could be that I sometimes refer to Plasma network, but just keep in mind that's actually the same
thing. Yeah, I think a lot of people understand, which is great. I think
so a Star network, the company behind the Star network is Stake Technologies, and we at Stake Technologies we started building this infrastructure from 2019, so it's almost 3 years now that we are building on this, and we have got around, I believe now we are at 7 grants from Web3 Foundation. So we are one of the highest projects who received the most grants from Web3 Foundation. One of them was Plasma on Substrate. We created like the Ink playground, and Ink is the smart contract language for WebAssembly. We also had like created a Web3 library, the ACDSA for hardware wallets, and so on and so on. And we also now still in the running for a grant for Zkey Planck. That's a layer 2 solution. More things about Astar. We graduated with the company from the Berkeley Blockchain Accelerator. We have a close partnership with Microsoft. We were one of the first who joined the Substrate Builders program and got like on the first batch of the Builders program. We also participated in the Web3 Bootcamp. We have a lot of experience on Kusama, now aiming for on Polkadot. We did a lot of testing on Rococo together with Parity. And the great thing about a project that we are doing now, we have been actually in 2019 when Sota saw a pitch from Gavin Woods in Japan, and they got talking, and that was actually the starting point of Blossom Network back then, and now Star Network, like being there with the first guys who are now also very active. There, as you see during that pitch from Gavin Woods, there was Brian from McCullough. We saw as well guys from Moonbeam there. So everyone was there from the beginning, and that's the great thing about working so close with Parity itself, so the builders of Polkadot. And every project is trying to do their contribution to the ecosystem. This gives like sometimes some friction between communities because they don't see the back end what we are doing together, and they see each other. They see us more as maybe some competitors, but we are in a certain way. We are competing for.
I hear the same thing. Yeah. I think I've heard from Ray Tao over at Macaulay. You know, he's talked about the community being such a tight. When he goes to the events, everybody's very friendly. People are wanting to see. They're rooting for you as much as you're rooting for them, and it's not really a And I do get a sense. I think some people are starting to understand how that works, and that we do the Dotsama community is just very very together. So there's a lot here. We're actually competing more. I think you guys are competing together more against Ethereum and everything else. So it's pretty cool in that sense.
Yeah, indeed, correct.
Yeah. Let me ask you
a little bit about the journey of a story.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. I do get a sense too that you guys are very developer focused and developer centric. I know you mentioned about WebAssembly, and for most people, WebAssembly is a big deal, running on the fact that you can run on so many platforms very easily. And so I might skip ahead a little to one of the things since we're talking about that. But what is it that kind of drove you guys towards Polkadot and Kusama as far as like Substrate using? Is that really been a big appeal to you? Do you guys look at kind of where you guys wanted to land at first, or was that a big gravitating force? Or
for me, it's a difficult question to ask because I've been working with them for a year, so I wasn't with the company at the moment they decided to go with Substrate.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but I have been talking a lot with Sota together on a lot of podcasts and AMAs, and how we look at Substrate is like Substrate is a framework, and that framework is there to build blockchains. And Substrate is built by Parity, the company behind Polkadot and Kusama.
Yep.
And how do I see it? The Substrate is built like an open library, an open source library, where actually, and in that library, it covers all the necessary functions to have like running a blockchain. So, like we say for us, a Astar network, okay, we want to launch our blockchain, so we use like Substrate for this, and we choose to use the Frontier palette for the EVM.
Frontier is a big deal. Yeah.
We use also the WebAssembly palette and things like that. So, and later on you can choose for the on-chain governance palette. There's a lot of palettes available, and this can create like your own blockchain with those libraries that you can choose. It's very easy. It's very flexible as well. And how do I see it as flexible? Like you've got like your blockchain is now running, like Shine is now running on Kusama. And say like we are talking with Chainlink. Chainlink is creating also a palette for the oracles on Kusama, on Polkadot. So how does it make it flexible? Like we can say, okay, we want to integrate Chainlink. We can just integrate that palette in our runtime without even doing some upgrades for the users. It's like everything's on the back end, and we can easily a very flexible way to upgrade the ecosystem itself. And this is actually something unique to have, and instead of reinventing everything from scratch and doing things like we got that library available, and it all starts with the framework, and then you just build your custom functionality on top of that. Yes.
Yeah, it's so cool. I just think it's really cool the way Substrate's built out, and these palettes are really so easy to think. Customize things is what you want to customize, and leave things as default as you want, and then bring in other integrations. Yeah, it's amazing. So definitely very cool. So yeah, also too. So with the Astar token, like what is the utility? Can you talk about that? The kind of what I gather too is that it does help with you guys paying out developers and incentivizing developers and getting people on your platform building, which is awesome. I think that's a really good thing to do to actually, and it's all about, incentivizing developers to build really cool stuff on top of your network, I think. But do you want to talk much about that, or?
Yeah, sure. So what are the activities that we have for our token? So so at the top of that list is dApp staking, the app staking, and that's actually where you can stake your native tokens, our native tokens, on top of a project. And by doing so, you support the developers behind it as well as yourself, because you get your staking rewards for this. So that's one mechanism that we have in place. Another mechanism is just another staking mechanism that you can use. It's now still in development, and that's called crowd staking. So instead of staking on, so it can be compared as staking on validators, but it's like a pool of community members that will set up and launch a collator on a network. And another part is the transactions that will be happening with our token as well. On-chain governance will be used for our token. Layer 2 solutions can be used with the Astar token or the Shiden token. And basically, our token is also now being used as liquidity on DEXs. So you can trade against it with other USD, with other pairs that are the DEXs are creating in our ecosystem, and AMMs and things like that. So there is a lot of utility available, but still, how do I have to say it? We are still in such an early stage now that the utility for token still needs to be increased,
developed and used.
Yeah.
Cool.
A lot of people are watching at us or watching the same as to Bifrost. Like, okay, it's live, but people don't forget that we are just live for 2-3 months, and that's it.
It's early.
Some people think that we are already a mainnet for years, and there's still so much things that needs to be done, like the XCMP, like so many feature that needs to be developed or needs to be modified and fine-tuned, that people don't forget about this. And it's very different, but we all understand also the crypto community.
Yeah, people don't. I don't think people understand how all this technology is just such an infancy. Like you just mentioned, XCM with the cross-chain messaging. I mean, that was just kind of like just used for the first time. I think Brian Chen, was from a call. I think was the one that set the first message out there, like with it, and it feels like just the other day. I mean, so it's all brand new, and I think a lot of people don't understand that this is all new. It's a wild west, and give it time. I know you guys are developing. Everything's developing so fast, but the community wants more and more. They get a little taste, and they want more.
Awesome. I do understand it. At one point they invest in you. I have to say invest, but I don't see Crowdloan as investment. But they invest to trust in your project, and they want to. That's how I started as well. Let's say 7 years ago, I found out Bitcoin. I wanted to get as much return of investment as possible, like becoming that new millionaire the next year. But now, after working 6-7 years in the business, now I know it's not possible. I'm still not a millionaire, so
so much to it. I mean, it's funny. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and so you were talking about the scalability. I know you mentioned just now about that, but like, so the layer 2 scalability. Do you want to talk about that, like for you guys take? So like as far as like bringing on lots of users and lots of apps, and how are you guys addressing that to make sure to continue? Because I think that is going to be like a huge differentiator, I think, for you guys, even for anyone else building on top of Polkadot and Kusama versus building on top of Ethereum. So do you want to talk about that at all, or?
Yeah, sure. So the question you ask, I can talk for a lot of time. I see it as how do I have to put it? Let's just start with just the first thing, like what kind of developers are we looking for? That's just, and we are looking for two kind of developers. We are looking for two. We are providing solutions for two families. One family is, I call them like the Solidity family, the Ethereum family, those who already built on blockchain, who have the experience on building smart contracts. And that's the whole great world of developers that we also provide the solutions for to use in our ecosystem. Then there is like another family that we want to attract, and this is something for the longer term, and that's based on the WebAssembly smart contracts. And like we see, that will be the future of smart contracts because the scalability of WebAssembly is so much more compared to EVM. And we focus on this kind of family. If you look now on GitHub, like it's the open source platform for all developers, Rust is now one of the most learned language, and it's getting very close as most used language last this year. That's now happened, and this gives us how do I say? This gives us some data to see where are the developers going for, and those developers who know Rust. That doesn't mean that they are now on the blockchain. This means that they are actually building for Microsoft, Google, and all those big companies, like all those real use companies now in the world. They are now hiring all Rust developers or educating Rust developers because they see the power of WebAssembly and the Rust language. And this developer family that we are looking for, we create the infrastructure for projects or for companies now in the real world that say, okay, let's move this part of our business on the blockchain. Okay, let's do this. So, and then you will be looking for, okay, what do we need to do? Okay, oh, you have EVM. Okay, we need to hire Solidity smart, we need to hire Solidity programmers, we need to hire blockchain programmers. But with WebAssembly, they can just say, okay, we got the knowledge in-house with Rust. They can write Rust smart contracts. It's the same method, it's the same logic, and they can even write the smart contracts and deploy it in Astar. And this family of developers still so much room to grow because it's so new compared. You've got Solana that is focusing on this as well. So this gives us a little bit of insight about it, that there is a demand for these kind of developers. And that's a developer family that not yet is in the blockchain. It's not building on the blockchain, but we will make the infrastructure for them to do this. So that's the power of Astar. Having those two developers can use the same house, can use our same ecosystem next to each other without using different, or have to go to another ecosystem to do this or this. No, we create everything on Astar.
Yeah, being developer centric, I think, is just a big plus for you guys. And I do get you right. I mentioned about Rust. Rust is a really cool language. It's very type safe. It's a great language, and I think a lot of developers, there is a lot of, the Rust community is growing too. So and I'm sure if anybody here is listening is wanting to get into blockchain development, definitely go look at, do some Rust tutorials. And I looked at your guys' documentation. Your documentation looks really good too. So once people start picking it up, take a look. So definitely.
Yeah, indeed. And coming back to your other question about the layer 2. Sorry, I did like a side.
Oh yeah, no worries. No, it was good. It was good. Definitely.
Yeah. But for layer 2, we see this more in the long-term vision. Why is that? Because there is currently on Polkadot and Kusama, there is no need for layer 2. Why is this? We have the parrot chains. The parrot chains already activate sharding. Sharding is already a layer 1 scalable solution. This brings Kusama and Polkadot already very scalable compared to other ecosystems out there. Yeah. And having layer 2, this is more in case like the room is already used and we need to get those layer 2 solutions for those big projects. Yeah. So we think more, or in about a year or maybe 2 years, that there will be possibilities or there will be need for layer 2 on Polkadot. Mm-hmm. But if you have like a project now on Ethereum with layer 2 solutions, or we can implement this also in our ecosystem. So it's ready to be implemented. So it's ready to be used in our ecosystem. So the developers don't need to change that much on their code. But for layer 2, we see this more in the longer term.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So going with that too, I guess circling back around too, like what, I think a lot of people talk about like the comparison between you guys and Moonbeam. And I think that's where somebody was asking me the other day, was like, well, it seems like almost the same thing. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think so exactly right. I mean, I can tell you there's the different stuff. I know they definitely approaching the EVM different phases. So do you want to talk about that, like some differentiating factors for the community? Because I think people that are new to the project, they look and they say, well, they almost seem the same, but they're definitely not. So maybe do you want to explain that? Or
Yeah, for sure. So how Moonbeam it's now presenting into the market is like being the Ethereum and Polkadot, creating all the Ethereum features, all the Ethereum compatibility on Polkadot, making it very easy by using the same addresses that they use on Ethereum. Those addresses can also be Polkadot and so on. So it's pretty easy if you are used to working on Ethereum. Yes. How do I compare this with the Star network? Like I mentioned before in the previous question, those two developer families, focusing on those who are building on Ethereum, they can be building it on top of us as well. But we also focus on those WebAssembly, those Rust developers. So bringing those two families in one ecosystem. And we also created a library that will be available for Solidity contracts to interact with a WebAssembly smart contract. So they can even call each other and do things. So we have a project who's building like a DEX on the EVM module, and is also building a DEX on the WebAssembly part. And they will communicate with each other with both DEXs, and they will have different use cases, but still will be interactive with each other on the same on the same chain. This is one major differentiator between Moonbeam and us, like having those two multi-virtual machines available. Another thing is our layer 2 as well that we offer to developers. We already got, like I say, 3 grants only for our layer 2 solutions that we brought to the ecosystem. And another thing is dApp staking, and this is like a mechanism that we incentivize developers in our ecosystem to build on top of a Star, to build on top of the Polkadot or Kusama. And this is like the main difference between us and Moonbeam. We are working closely with them as well regarding development. So if we have problems with our frontier, with our EVM, we can ask them and they will support us and help us in the code. And that's the great thing. That's the great thing as well. So also every code of Moonbeam is open source. Every code of a Star is open source. So it's easy for us to just look, okay, how do they do it in their code? Okay. And then we will talk to them to see how did they build it. And then we can implement it as well. Yeah. And that's the great thing about this. So there are things on maybe on a Star that were built by Moonbeam. Maybe they will use later on palettes that we built on their ecosystem. So, and that's the great thing. But that's more, between the projects that knows this and
I think a lot of people, that's a good explanation. I think now maybe hopefully people can understand there is a differentiating factor, and you guys really aren't direct rivals. You guys are it's more of like, hey, you guys are tackling one area pain point and they're tackling a total different thing. So it does seem like it. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Well, yeah. And so what about, as far as, we're on Bifrost. So talking about the Crowdloan process, your guys' strategy, and then also kind of like what, how you see Bifrost helping out in that thing. Cause I think a lot of people are still just learning about Bifrost and understanding how useful it is for projects and how you can access your liquidity. So it's a great way to be able to support awesome projects like yours, as well as get liquidity quick and, get the best of both worlds. So, yeah.
Yeah. I know Bifrost for some time now because actually when I started working for the Polkadot, I actually also worked for Bifrost for some time.
Oh, really nice.
I think I worked for them for 3-4 months. Mainly community management and things like that. So
cool.
I work really closely with Lucas and with Barney, and
Lucas is great. Yeah, Barney's awesome.
Yeah. Great person. And I also use the mechanism that Lucas built with the Libby pool, with the Ethereum and the voucher Ethereum. So I use that as well, and he has like great experience in case of this. And how brings Bifrost value to us at this point now? When I compare this with the Kusama Crowdloan. And when I look at the Kusama Crowdloan, when we did this for a Shiden network, it was very basic. We just ask our community, okay, you need to stake your KSM on us. And how to do this, just go to polkadot.js.org and just contribute to our crowd loan. We didn't have like a one pager. We didn't have like a crowd loan page or liquid KSM or nothing. Just they just lock their KSM and that's it. And we were lucky to have some exchanges like Kraken and others who helped us creating the infrastructure for those who want to contribute to the Kusama crowd loan. And when you look now at the Polkadot auctions, this is a completely new world, and it was only a couple of months different, like compared to Kusama. And now for our crowd loan, we got our one page. Okay, that was something that we needed. Mm-hmm. You got like a Bifrost with a SALP solution. We work with Parallel Fi. We work with Equilibrium. So we work with a lot more wallets as well, because there are now a lot more wallets. So Fearless Wallet, Nova Wallet, and so on. More exchanges are joining the party as well with Binance as one of the main, or is going, one of the biggest one out there. And it's so much more for our contributors to choose from where I want to go with. If I want to use, they want to use Bifrost for the solution and get that liquid KSM and join the crowd loan, or they can just use our crowd loan page. There's so much more that we can offer to the participants, and that's also something that you can see now when you look at numbers on the crowd loan. So compared to the Kusama crowd loan, we got like, I think 9,000 contributors, so 9,000 participants.
Yeah.
Now we are, I believe now 23,000. And if you look at Moonbeam, always 50,000. And that's still not the participants who joined through multisig or with exchanges, because they only use one wallet for this. Yeah. So you can easily double it or triple the numbers that you see on your Polkadot, and that's just insane when you compare this to Kusama.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. I think that's the cool thing about platforms like Bifrost that are helping out with that, because you can access your liquidity, because that's the biggest thing. People are like, hey, well, I'm gonna have to put my DOT down or my Kusama down, and I've got to lock it up for this period of time. The fact that you can get access to liquidity or be farming the derivative token on that is a huge deal. So that's a lot. I think if people look at I know I staked my VS KSM and my VS bond, and I've been getting great rewards on that. So it's been awesome. So I've been telling people too, and the different pairings, and it's amazing. So it's really cool. But
that was what the community was missing. The first batch. It's now already implemented in the Kusama auctions now also happening. There are more features, but when I look back at when we go for that slot, it was completely different now. And that's just a couple of months. So imagine what we will be at 6 months from now, or 1 year from now. It's like people will not even, people who are now complaining will be like, whoa, a lot has changed. And I think, people just need to wait for this. That's just, I have high hopes.
Many innovations. So many innovations, so many new cool things. Like ZenLink's another one too. I mean, I tell a lot of people, you can go through ZenLink because it's tied in with Bifrost, and then you could contribute to projects like yourself and other ones. And so you're getting like almost like a triple dipping in a sense, which is really cool. It's amazing. So let's get to community questions, just because I want to make sure I get to these. I guess I'll start with maybe some of the ones that were asked. Let's see. So maybe I don't know, it looks like you. Let's see. Maybe start with this one. Many public chains are considering adding privacy features such as zero knowledge proofs. So how can we bring privacy to DeFi? And then how would you guys look at tackling that?
Yes, that's a great question, actually. So I let me just explain first the structure of our company. So we are building on a Star network, but the Star network is built by Stake Technologies. It's also built by Commonwealth, the creators of Edgeware. They also help us, and also by Web Protocol. And Web Protocol, they are creating privacy solutions on Polkadot. So if you go to search for Web Protocol, and you can also find them in our Dev store. They just created like a mixer if you want to send Shiden tokens and to make it anonymous, to don't know where that comes from. So we are working on privacy solutions, and that's why we are working actually with 3 companies on the same platform for the same network. So we are working for Stake Technologies, working on a platform for dApp staking, for just substrate-based framework to maintain. Then we have Commonwealth. They will work on the on-chain governance for the ecosystem, as well for dApp staking governance system. And then we have Web Protocol. They will be working on a privacy protocol bridge in our network. So, and that's a great thing that we have different developers, different skill sets that we can use for our ecosystem. Yeah. So this will give an answer to this question.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and then somebody else is asking now, which criteria would one look at when picking a dApp to stake or support? Do you have anything you prefer? Maybe this is maybe more of a personal question for you.
Yeah, I do have my favorite projects, but just to give you an explanation about how dApp staking would work. So we created like the mechanism where you as a user can stake on an application, and by doing so you support the project, and it's all the mechanism is built that you support that project, that the developers get rewarded. So it doesn't matter if you stake on project A or project B, the APR for you will be the same. It doesn't matter for you as a user. It doesn't matter which project you use you stake on, but it does matter for the developers. It doesn't matter for the project, because the more stakers they have, the more rewards they get in the system. So, and that's something that we need to educate our community as well. But you don't need to go with those great pools who are already filled with millions of SDN. You can just go to someone who only has like 24 stakers, but the rewards for you will be the same. But you will support that project. You will help them in their early stage development in the ecosystem. So, and that's something that we need to educate our community as well. And we recently did some changes around this because the rewards were very high for developers in the beginning now. So they offered like, if you nominate on us, you get like 30% extra, because we will use our rewards to distribute it back to you and so on. So we changed this mechanism now. So basically that a project can always do this on their end if they want to reward extra, but we just changed the distribution mechanism, like the nominators and the developers have the same amount of SDN that they will get, but the developers are like, they're divided by 20 or maybe by 30, but the stakers will be divided by a couple of thousands or 10,000 users. And but just to remind people that it doesn't matter what project you stake on, because your rewards will be the same, but it doesn't matter for the project.
Yeah, you want to pick the good ones, right? Because it does seem like it's kind of similar to it does kind of like get a similar benefit from the crowd loans. I mean, I think the crowd loans here for Kusama and Polkadot does get the better projects to rise up based on the community participation behind. So we can, the community can pick out the best horses and the best, the projects that are doing the right things. And then now, can you change now? One question I had, are you able to change your stake later on? I mean, I guess you can move it around, so you can obviously
you can move it.
I'm not happy this project isn't doing much or whatever, and there's another up and coming one that is doing a much better job. Cool. So it's a big deal. So cool. That's great. So somebody is asking about marketing. Is the heart of every project. So it's important to know the potential. What is your guys' strategy? How are you guys looking? How do you guys feel about your long-term strategy within to bringing on new users and kind of attract, pests? I mean, I like your guys' some of your marketing, like the astronauts, I think is awesome. You guys should play that more.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we are working on marketing. Like for us, we are a very tech-minded companies. We are focusing so much on the technology and on building that. If you would look at our team, currently we have like let's just go 1 month back, because it's now changed a little. So we got like around 15 to 17 people working on Astar, and actually all 15, 17 people, they are all developers. So everyone has developer skills. And that's good, but we are missing then the marketing. because we don't have any in-house marketing, and you need marketing as well. That's something that we know. So how is it now going? So we hired some people who are focusing more on marketing. I now got a little bit. I worked a lot on the Crowdloan, so now I'm also creating the structure for the marketing to hire later on someone else who can take over everything I built around the workflows, and then I can go back to supporting projects and helping to build and start doing like more developer world again. So we are working with, we are listening to our community.
That's great.
Because our community wants marketing, but at the same time is why market something or hype something when it's still in such early developments that it's still lacking some features? Why market that, and why not just wait to get everything? I just tweeted out today something like finding the balance. You need to find the balance of what you want. You need to satisfy the community, at the same time you need to satisfy the developers. Our main focus is the developers, but on the other hand, it's the community that is supporting in us, that is investing in us.
Yeah.
So it's like finding that balance is very difficult at this stage, because we are creating the platform for smart contracts to build on. But we are fighting it every day, and we are looking at, we have a long-term vision planned ahead of us, and we are aiming for that long-term vision. We are not looking at the short term. The short-term people who are investing in us are those who are crying at every dip. Let me say it like this.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of those.
The long-term people who are in this space for, like me, for more than 7 years now, and when I see something go down by 20%, I'm like, okay, let's wait a couple of months, it will be plus 60. You don't know. And that's the great thing about the crypto space, about
very volatile.
You are a believer, and then you hold on to it, and then, okay, we all know the 2017 ICO hype. I was a believer in a lot of projects that are now.
I was there too, myself.
So I lost a lot, but at the same time, I also won a lot, because some projects really did something great and gave me a lot of return on investment. But some fail, and that was the problem with the ICO hype in 2017. But I do believe that the crowd loans and how Polkadot and Kusama handling it is a completely different, because actually, if you invest, you don't lose anything.
I tell people all the time, look at what's being produced. I mean, look where we were, look where we are now, technology-wise, especially on the Kusama and Polkadot ecosystem right now, where we are now. Go back to where we were in December. I mean, the project's morphed so much. There's so much new innovation, and especially in the last 3 months, 4 months, I think things are picking up steam like crazy fast, which is awesome. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I'm glad somebody asked about marketing, because marketing and development are both important. You can't have one without the other, and
that's true. Yeah. And we have been listening a lot to our community as well, and that's the great thing with our ambassadors, because they interact with the community, they give us feedback. If we want to do something, we always go first to our ambassadors. They give us feedback about what we should do, about how to handle it with the community. After this, we will go to our public forum where everyone from the community can interact with and give feedback. And that's how we now do each change in our network, in that order, because we are aiming to become like a DAO in 2 years, maybe 3 years. And we don't want to make the decisions. We want everyone who invested in us to make together the decision, what's the best for them.
Yeah, I think the community focus is really a great thing. That's the most successful networks on here are going to be community based. So yeah, very cool. So let me try to see if we can kind of 1 or 2 more questions real quick before you wrap it up. So somebody's asking here too, maybe about your roadmap and goals. Do you have anything else you want to add to your roadmap and goals? Anything else you haven't touched on?
Where are we going from now? We keep improving our infrastructure. So soon at Q1 next year, we will integrate the WebAssembly smart contracts into our platform. We will have other new staking mechanisms available for our holders, for native token holders. And again, we are creating a smart contract platform. So there will be tons of projects coming in with the use of Shiden, and we are trying to build like the best infrastructure for them. One major thing that we are also focusing on is our layer 1 bridges. So we are not only relying on the XCMP inside Polkadot, but we also are creating bridges. So currently we already have a bridge with Ethereum. We are now have a project who's working with a pallet bridge, so an integrated bridge with the Binance Smart Chain. We have another project also working on pallet side for a bridge with Cosmos. Then we have a working bridge with Definity that's working on. We are in contact with Avalanche. So we are working.
I saw the list of them. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
We are working on different kinds of bridges. And that's also the great thing about how could Bifrost utilize Astar. So when the bridge is made to Astar, to let's say Cosmos Astar, let's say Bifrost want to do something or want to bridge some assets to Cosmos, they can just use XCMP first, then use our bridge, and then it's gone. And to do this, it's like very simple. It will be like click, and then it will be on to Cosmos without even knowing the user. It goes to Astar, for instance. So and that's how the great things will work on Polkadot.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. The cross-chain transfers are just incredible. I mean, like the first time I experienced was through Carrara, and I went from on the Kasama network over to Carrara's network, and I was like, this is freaking amazing. It's so fast and quick. And so the fact that you guys are building all these bridges is just like, oh man, it's going to be cool. So yeah, I'm definitely excited about that. So yeah, do you have anything closing up you want to add to or anything, and tell everybody get going on supporting with you guys and put the dot behind this, great project? And
yeah, for sure. So basically what my last words will be like, first of all, I want to thank Bifrost for organizing this AMA. And another thing is the Crowdloan is still very going. We are going for that third slot, or so we will join, I think tomorrow or today, your time maybe. Moonbeam will become like the second parachain. Then we will aim for the third one. So we really appreciate if everyone could support us. We are building the infrastructure for all developers, like I was saying, like the Solidity as well as the web-based web assemblies, more developers. So if you have any questions, always welcome to come to our community as well. We have, like I was, like you were saying, and like we have a great ambassador who are helping us and will support you with this. And yeah, looking forward to the next phase of Polkadot.
Fun times ahead. Yes, definitely. Well, Martin, thanks for your time. I appreciate it, man. And we're rooting for you, and the Bifrost community appreciates you coming on here and, giving us a lot of knowledge. So thanks so much. You take care now. Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.